Dad, what are you doing in my room? I keep my voice low the way we do on a radio net, steady and controlled. He's elbow deep in the garment bag that holds my dress blues, fingers grazing the hidden pocket where I stash a spare for my off-post place. His hands stop. The look on his face tells me everything about boundaries in this house. I'm Captain Maya Torres, U.S. Army Logistics. I just finished the captain's career course with honors. A line my father swore I'd never earn back when I battled calculus in high school. You're not built for numbers, Maya. Some people have a head for it. Some don't. That was his cadence. And yet here I am standing in my old doorway watching him search the one space that was supposed to be mine. The key in his palm isn't just metal. It's proof. Last year he had every lock in this place reworked for security. Now I understand, not safety, control. I've chased his approval like it was a moving target on a windy range, believing if I racked up enough quals and achievements, he'd finally see me as more than his cautionary tale. Today was supposed to be the win, my promotion ceremony at Liberty Hall on post. Guidance posted. Colors unkissed. Nearly 300 guests, brass, city officials, neighbors, and the civilians my father calls our legacy. If you've ever felt invisible inside your own family's victory lap, hit subscribe and tell me where you're tuning in from, because some truths deserve daylight. What I didn't know, hanging those blues that morning, was that my father had prepared a speech of his own. Not pride. Not gratitude. Something sharpened. He slips my apartment key into his pocket like it's a receipt. Your ceremony's in 2 hours, he says without meeting my eyes. Don't be late. He moves past me as if I'm furniture. Same as always. Liberty Hall gleams under a cold October sun. Polished floors. Unit crests along the walls. The color guard rehearses in the corner while the band tunes a slow march. I show up early, habit, wanting to check the details. Seating chart, projector, order of toasts. My classmates from the course are flying in. My battalion commander will be here. This is my moment. My father is already working the room when I step inside. Handshakes, clap on the shoulder greetings, the practiced smile. This is Adrian Torres, the man who built Torres and Pike Holdings out of nothing. The myth. The headline. Maya. His voice carries like he owns the PA system. Come meet Trent Mercer from Meridian Capital. I square my shoulders, move with parade ground posture, and extend a crisp hand. Mr. Mercer, pleasure. I read your piece on grid-resilient energy. Solid logistics implications. Mercer nods. Your father says you're quite the achiever. My father's smile hooks at the corner. She tries hard. Always has. A chill slides under my collar. The way he frames it, effort as a consolation prize. Guests stack in fast. Soldiers in mess dress, civilians in black tie, my mother's charity circle, neighbors who watched me leave for basic and come home as a lieutenant. Stewards weave through with trays. The band softens to background. It's everything I imagined until my father reaches for the microphone during the toasts. Ladies and gentlemen, he says, voice easy, smooth, amplified. Thank you for honoring my daughter's promotion. My spine straightens. Maybe finally. Maya has always been reliable, he says, letting the word hang. She works hard. She follows orders. But some people are wired to command and some are better suited to support. The hall thins to silence. 300 faces tilt toward me, some sympathetic, some nodding like they've heard this verdict before. He warms to it. Leadership can't be taught. It's instinct, vision, the willingness to make the hard call when others hesitate. Every sentence is a blade slipped between ribs. This isn't a toast. It's a public demotion. She'll make an excellent staff officer one day, he finishes lightly, for someone with real vision. The applause that follows is scattered and brittle. I hold my bearing, but my new rank pin feels suddenly heavy like dead weight on my chest. Later, as conversation stumbles back to life and I do the rounds. Smiles, nods, the polite small talk that tastes like dust. I catch my father at the bar with his business partner, Noah Kwan. She doesn't have what it takes to build something that lasts, my father says, rolling his whiskey. Some people just don't have the killer instinct. Kwan is careful. She seems sharp. My father laughs softly. Sharp isn't power, Noah. I didn't get here by being nice. Dad chuckles. Bright isn't power, Noah. I didn't get where I am by being nice. The line ricochets in my head as I step away from the reception, past the guidance stands and framed unit citations, and into the restroom at Liberty Hall. I brace my hands on the sink. The woman in the mirror, the captain who just pinned new rank, looks steady, but my legs feel like they've run a 12-miler with ruck. I pull a slow 4-count breath. In on 4. Hold. Out on 4. Somewhere between the inhale and the exhale something clicks. I see his fingers in my dress blues this morning, the spare key disappearing into his pocket, the way he always knows where to press to keep me small. What kind of man trains his own daughter to doubt herself? And what is he so afraid I'll find if I stop playing small? I don't go back to my off-post place that night. I drive to our Beacon Hill townhouse, the brick one where every childhood mistake became a lecture on discipline. Mom's at book club. Dad's working late. The house is quiet enough to hear the old radiators breathe. I go straight to my old room. 10 minutes of muscle memory and I've got it. Taped behind the bottom drawer of my jewelry box. Exactly where 17-year-old me hid it after he locked me out during one of his important meetings. Some conversations aren't for children, he'd said. I'm not a child anymore. His office opens with a soft click. Leather. Polished wood. Every book aligned like a formation. The mahogany desk is a battleship, flanked by file cabinets and shelves of CO hagiographies. I work the drawers, top to bottom, until the deep right one refuses to budge. Small keyhole. Of course. A sweep behind the desk turns up a loose floorboard. Under it, wrapped in velvet, a brass key. My hands are steady now. The lock turns. The drawer size open. A manila folder labeled in his precise hand, personal insurance. Inside, photographs, bank statements, USB drives, a leather notebook thick with dates and names, and at the bottom a small digital recorder with a post-it. Morrow and Slate final day. Morrow and Slate. When I was 12 he told me they'd cut good people in a budget purge. He landed at a better firm in a month and called it resilience. I press play. Dad's voice, tinny but unmistakable. The Hensley acquisition files are on my desk. Third drawer behind the Peterson contracts. You'll want the environmental reports, especially the groundwater contamination they buried. Another voice. And you're sure Graham doesn't know you have this? My boss thinks I'm too loyal to notice his cover-ups. Amazing what people miss when they trust you. I stopped the recording. My pulse is loud in the silence. That wasn't a layoff. That was theft. Corporate espionage. I mapped the past like a convoy route. Morrow and Slate Consulting, bankrupt 6 months after he left under the weight of a poisoned development. Pelham Ridge Capital, collapsed 2 years later amid insider trading probes. Whitmere Group, dissolved after the CEO went out in cuffs. Every company he's touched ends the same way. He exits with a promotion they burn. If you've ever suspected that your family's success story was built on someone else's wreckage, tap like and tell me what you've seen, because this is where the paper trail starts talking. I photograph everything. Bank statements routing 6-figure wires from shells with names built to evaporate. Parking lot handoffs caught on long lenses. USBs labeled with companies I remember from scandal headlines. But it's the notebook that turns suspicion into a playbook. Pages on identifying soft targets, which executives drink too much at conferences, how to court competitors hungry for inside intel. The last pages list future entries, companies he plans to infiltrate next. At the top, circled in red, Torres and Pike Holdings. His own flagship. The empire he swore would be my inheritance. He's lining it up to. The front door closes downstairs. The old chime announces him like a bugle call. Why, His voice carries through the stairwell. Your car's in the drive. Your car's in the driveway. What are you doing here? I close the folder, slide the drawer shut and pocket the key. By the time his footsteps reach the office, I'm already in his leather chair, spinning just enough to face him square. Hi Dad. We need to talk. His eyes flick to the desk then to me. For the first time in my life, Adrian Torres looks unsure. What are you doing in my office? His voice is measured but there's a tremor under the control. Fair question, I say staying put. I could ask you the same about my room this morning. He steps closer, hands locked behind his back in that familiar command pose. This is my house, Maya. Those are my private files. Your private files, I echo, like the folder marked personal insurance. Color drains from his face. You had no right. To what? Confirm the legend of Adrian Torres. I rise slowly, pull my phone from my pocket. Did you know it's perfectly legal to photograph documents that evidence a crime? We stand across the mahogany like opposing commanders at a map table, 20 years of control hanging between us like smoke. You don't understand what you're seeing, he says at last. Don't I? I circle the desk until I'm close enough to see the sweat starting at his hairline. Morrow and Slate Consulting. Pelham Ridge Capital. Whitmere Group. Want me to keep going? He sinks into the visitor's chair, the one where I used to sit for speeches about disappointment and expectations. Business is complicated, he says quietly. Sometimes you make hard choices. Hard choices, I repeat, and the laugh that slips out doesn't sound like mine. Is that what we're calling insider handoffs and buried environmental reports? The mass layoffs that followed you like a storm front. I provided for this family, he snaps. Your schooling, this house, every opportunity, you're standing on what I built. Your success, I say, poured from other people's losses. I swipe to a photo and hold up my phone. His leather notebook, last page, Torres and Pike Holdings circled in red ink. Were you going to give me a heads up before you gutted your own flagship, or let the bureau brief me when they knocked? His shoulders sag. For an instant he looks every one of his years. How long have you known? An hour, I say. But I should have sewn it together ages ago. You always knew exactly which pressure point to hit to keep me small, grateful, and blind. I was protecting you from this world, he says. Keeping you innocent. You kept me ignorant. There's a difference. Silence stretches until it creaks. I break it. Someone else knows. His head lifts. You told someone? I didn't have to. I slide the phone into my pocket. Elena Ruiz. Securities investigator. Her dad worked at Morrow and Slate. She's been on you for 2 years. She was at my promotion last night. Saw your little reliable, not a leader, routine. She's been waiting for an insider with a spine. Maya, you don't know what you're doing. These people will destroy everything we've built. We. I stand. There's no we, Dad. There never was. You built an empire on lies and trained me to think I was too unworthy to challenge it. I'm at the doorway when he calls after me. What do you want? I turn. He's slumped, smaller in that chair than I've ever seen him. I want you to understand that your disappointment just became your worst nightmare, I say. And you're the one who taught me how to plan for the long game. The next morning I meet Elena Ruiz in a Cambridge coffee shop. She's younger than I expected, maybe 30, with alert eyes and a scarred laptop bag. I wondered when you'd reach out, she says, sliding into the booth. After last night's show at Liberty Hall, my cousin was on the catering crew. She texted me about the speech. Elena opens her laptop, dry smile. Your father has a gift for public humiliation. I place my phone on the table and flick through the images. She scrolls and her face goes from skeptical to stunned. Jesus, Captain, she breathes. This is everything. Financial records. Comms logs. Target lists. Elena's eyes flick up. Do you understand what you're holding, Captain? This is 20 years of corporate espionage. RICO, wire fraud, securities manipulation. She closes the laptop, breath steady. With this, we don't just stop your father. We roll up the network he's been feeding. The weight of it hits like a ruck I didn't train for. What happens to him? Federal time, she says softly. 10 to 20 if the counts stack. I know he's your father. No, my voice is steadier than I expect. A father protects his kids. He doesn't spend decades teaching them to hate themselves. Elena nods once. There's more. We've been tracing wires from Shell Core to personal accounts. He's been moving money offshore for years. Our estimate? North of $50 million siphoned from the firms he touched. $50 million. While he lectured me about earning it. I swallow it down. When do we move? This morning he announced a new deal, she says. Torres and Pike Holdings is set to acquire Harborline Development next month. Your documents show he plans to sabotage diligence and sell the intel to Harborline's rivals. So we cut him off before he craters another company. We do it where it started, Elena says, a thin smile. At the Regimental Founders Gala this weekend. Same crowd that heard him call you reliable, not a leader. We make the truth public. I picture the 300 guests. Brass, city power brokers, my mother's circle, his partners. The people who nodded while he shrank me. What do you need from me? Bring a laptop with HDMI and get me 10 minutes on the hall AV, she says. And run your briefing voice. Calm, concise. Because, Captain Maya Torres, you're about to give the most important presentation of your life. The truth wasn't buried. It was filed in his desk, labeled in his own careful hand. Personal insurance.